Okay, here we are again, guys and girls, and men and women and children. This is chapter 7 of King David's Lost Crown. Before they awaken King David's Lost Crown. Chapter 7, Reunited Rome. So often, the emperor's guests drew as much attention at the games as the games themselves, as the people tried to figure out who it was occupying the guest seats, but none so much as the venerable wolf prince of Parthia. Rumors and tales circulated throughout the kingdoms, all of the kingdoms, told and retold by those in the traveling caravans, and it had grown into a mystique. King Artabanus the Wolf King and his son, the Wolf Prince, could transform themselves into wolves, it was said, which they often did to scour the countryside at midnight and avenge their enemies. Now and then a mysterious death of a farm animal would turn up, and of course, everybody knew who that was. The people knew what had happened, that it was the Wolf Prince transformed, or the Wolf King, and fairly quivered at the knowledge of it, for they knew that one night it might be their desiccated remains found at the side of some road with internal organs removed. A new story was soon to be told of what happened on a certain day in Rome when the prince attended at the games. It was during the beast hunts that the prince stood and with nothing more than the power of his eyes stilled the souls of the beasts. Only one other person had been able to do such a thing, the Galilean rabbi, the sorcerer Jew that wandered from town to town in the land of the Hebrews, tales of which had even reached Rome, of how he could heal the sick and raise the dead and could calm the hearts of storms. Once, the Galilean rabbi defeated an angry crowd with nothing more than the power of his eyes. He just looked at him as they were about to throw him over a cliff. And so did the Parthian prince speak to the animals in a way that could not be possible with only his eyes. But the people saw. The Romans had a saying that if 10 or more people are witness to an event, then the event is true. Thousands bore witness to this event. They saw the Parthian wolf prince stand and call forth one of the wolves that had been captured in the forests of Hyrcania. The largest of the wolves, given power by the prince, actually ran to the stands and leapt a full 40 feet through the air, over the barricades and into the stands, and scattered the people to the left and to the right. Looking almost as if it had a smile on its face, the wolf bounded straight for the prince, attacking him with a fury. It was then that the people realized how big the animal was. With its 4 paws on the prince's shoulders, it was at least a full cubit taller than the prince, and its head was twice the size of a man's head and shaped like an almost perfect isosceles triangle. And Prince Orodes charmed the animal, in the very midst of it tearing at its face with fangs like stilettos. In less time than it would take to utter a single word, the animal was in complete submission, whining and licking the prince's face, made so by the prince's demonic stare. What the prince then did was truly startling. He drew his sword and turned against Caesar's guards who were advancing upon him. Though he didn't need weapons, because under the prince's gaze the guards submitted, backed away, and opened the gate so that the prince could lead the remaining wolves and the bull elephant to freedom. That was the legend. That was the way the tale was told, or variations thereof. But what really happened, that was something far less akin to the supernatural. Mithra recognized his young alpha. That's all it was. His deep and committed friend. He recognized him at about the same time as his human alpha recognized him. Orodes had drawn his sword, in fact, but it was because he had fully intended to fight for his beloved pet, more friend than pet, more brother than wolf, but the guards were so dumbfounded by the incident, already believing there were unnatural forces at play, that they backed away of their own accord, and they opened the gates out of nothing more than their own fear. Orodes did have to use his sword, but it was not to fight. It was to cut Mithra free from the protective netting below the emperor's box. Mithra's aging leap had in truth been only about 15 feet, and he had slipped into the netting. The snarling and snapping, the baring of fangs, had been nothing more than the fang game that Mithra was so fond of playing, where Orodes would grab his 2 lower fangs and the 2 would play tug-of-war. And Orodes, fully expecting to be stricken down by someone somewhere with a weapon, took a life-or-death stand and did indeed free the other animals and lead them from the arena when he saw that the gates were open. The instinctive natures of the animals led them to trust this solitary human being, among all others that had acted toward them more as beasts than the beasts themselves. Whether or not the animals survived is not known, perhaps not being in their natural environment. It could be that Orodes had not done them a kindness at all. On the other hand, whatever lay in store for those animals beyond the gates of their freedom, it had to have been better than their stock in captivity, where they were caged, whipped, beaten, fed only part of the time, left in their own feces, unable in the confines of those cages to even sleep, often barely able to stand or turn in a circle, and abused to the point of insanity before their entrance into the arena, so that they would fight and kill. It was only Mithra's recognition of Orodes and his remembrance of the love that he had been given that broke through that insanity. So certainly Orodes had done the right thing by Mithra, because never again would he be mistreated. Never again would Orodes allow the animal to be ripped away from him for any reason. He was his own man now, not controlled by family, by royalty, by law, by nation, by religion or culture. He was his own man, doing what he deemed right, gleaned from within, not from without. When he and Mithra were alone in the safety of the forests east of Rome, the foothills of the Apennines, or at least what they thought were the foothills of the Apennines, in reality it was only the forested part of a senatorial estate, he sat and composed the letter that he was unable to write previously. He wrote a letter to the king and the queen telling them he would not be relying on Rome to assist in his return, because he had broken Roman laws. He would return to Parthia, he assured them, if and when he was able. He hoped it would be before Belteshazzar passed. He was not sure when he would be able to find that passage, or even if he would be able to find a courier to deliver the letter. At least he would have the letter and be prepared. He had stopped to procure writing instruments and papyrus at a villa that was visible from the forest edge. He assumed the man opening the door to be a senator because of the expensive weave of his tunic and because of the purple stripe running shoulder to waist, and because the home was vast and it spoke of wealth. Orodes offered to pay for the writing utensils, handing the senator a handful of sesterces. The senator handed the money back, all of it, except for one sesterce, saying that even that was too much. "I would have thought that you would have gone to the games," queried Orodes, fearful that he might be recognized, fearful the senator might have been to the games and seen what had happened. But no, said the senator, he had not gone to the games, seeming not to notice that there was a wolf 5 feet away, an animal acting more like a dog than a wolf, reclining head between its paws, patiently waiting. But he did notice that the dog didn't quite look like a dog. The long nose, the triangular head, the long legs, the square back, the tip of the long tail that would swish the ground. "I detest the spectacle of violence created by the games," the senator had said. "There is a veil of evil crowning the skies on those days," is what he said to Orodes, "a thing that enwraps men in cocoons of their own failings." "May the Lord be with you, young man," the senator finalized. An odd way for a Roman to bid farewell, given that a Roman likely would have said something more to the effect of, "May the hearth goddess go with you and bless your footfalls as you travel." Then the senator handed him money, a handful of denarii. "Keep it," he said. "Oh, I cannot," protested Orodes. "I am about to embark on a long journey. I may never be able to return and pay you back." "It's all right. Don't worry about it. I expect no such remuneration. You keep it." "What is your name, in case I am able to return the sum? And let it be known that it will be with interest." "No, I'm afraid you'll never find me," said the senator. "I'm a visitor only, and I'm from a place a long journey from here." "Well, tell me anyway, because one never knows what the future holds for us." "Mauler," he said. "My name is Mauler of Matthias. I'm staying here in this home temporarily as a guest of the emperor. I'm to be wed in the morning." Orodes grew pale at the revelation, but not because of the name. He had never been told the name of his birth father, but because the man was a friend of the emperor's. "Say not a word to the emperor, I beseech you," trembled Orodes, in tones that surely betrayed his fear. For if you are a friend of the emperor, and the emperor finds out where I am and who I am, it surely will end in my death, because I am being sought by the very same." He regretted saying it as soon as it passed his lips. Of course the senator would tell the emperor. Of course he would. But instead, the senator said, "You have my word, young man," realizing full well that serendipity had placed him face to face with his own son, the child he had lost a lifetime ago, for whom he still grieved, the birthmark over the left eye in the shape of an upward-pointed arrowhead, the scar that ran from chin to groin, the top of it barely visible, the wolf. It could be no other. Go, young man, and may God go with you.